Welcome to Gamersledge Podcast, the weekly podcast about video games with news, reviews, analysis, and opinion. Keeping you up to date on how to wisely spend your money for video games, movies, RPGs, comics, books, and more for over 16 years. Find us online at gamersledge.com. And now, your hosts.
Hello and welcome to Gamersledge Spoiler Podcast for the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't think I'm your host, but I'm Burgundy. You know me. I'm here. Get a favorite beverage of yours, possibly alcoholic, maybe not. We're not here to judge. Welcome to a group of friends talking about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. We've all seen it. We want to talk about it. We want to ruin it for everybody out there if they haven't seen it yet. So here we go. Or not. Are we ready?
You wanted to be the hero. Now you gotta pay the price.
Nothing is what I thought it was.
Is this bigger than you, Peter?
Okay, and as he said, spoilers everywhere. If you don't want to know what happened in the movie, go away. Or don't. You know.
This is your last chance not to have the movie spoiled for you. So, let's go around the room. I am your host, Balt. Joining me, of course, Burgundy, introduce himself. And last but not least,
Neil Sapien. Hi.
So, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Let's start by going around the room, and instead of jumping directly into the movie, let's say what we thought of it. And we'll start with Neo Sapien or Matt. Why don't you go first?
What we thought of it. You mean like
Yeah,
just general generic?
Generic, and then give it a out of 10, whatever your rating would be.
Okay. I walked out of the theater happy. I saw it with one of my children, just the way life worked out. And he was ecstatic. He's 12, so, you know. 13. He's 13. Oh, crap, he's 13. Anyway, yeah, it was fun. I thought it flowed well. There was some goofiness to it, but you know, it wasn't horrible. There was one character we'll get into that was probably the worst offender. It flowed well. It was acted well. The actors really got into their characters. I thought they did a great job. Despite not necessarily being what you thought it was going to be, I think it actually turned out better that way, and it is by far the best superhero movie that tries to cram 3 villains into it that I've ever seen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 7.9 out of 10.
That's not bad. I have a feeling I know where Dave is going to fall in this, so let me chime in on mine. I think the easiest way to say it is I walked out of the... let's start by saying that I did not very much like The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. To me, it was half-hearted, I guess would be the best way to say it. I liked the way he played Spider-Man, but that was about the only thing I liked. There were lots of plot holes, inconsistencies. I did not like it. I walked out of this one thinking that this was the first non-Marvel, meaning that Fox and Sony are the only other two companies that own Marvel properties or have the rights to use them. Sony obviously produced this one, and I believe that this is the first movie to get the formula right, not 100%, but enough that it was a much better showing than the first Amazing Spider-Man, and way better than X-Men 3 from Fox or Fantastic Four. Yeah, so
By comparison, that's a 1.
well, yes. X3 is like a -4 for me, but that's all right.
Oh, you talking about First Class?
No,
No.
X-Men 3. First Class was all right.
First Class was X-Men 3.
No, that was the 4th movie.
That was the fourth movie.
X3.
X3.
X-Men United? Was that the subtitle?
Wait, no. There was 2 X-Men movies that were pretty decent, and then First Class,
No.
and then
I see what you're doing there, and I agree wholeheartedly with you.
All right.
But
I get it.
yeah. No. So
Don't
anyway,
worry, this one will retcon 3 out of existence, so we'll be good.
Yeah, it will, as a matter of fact. But that's not the movie we're discussing yet. So with that in mind, I would say that I really thought they got it right. The character building was done well. I thought it was a strong showing. There are things I would say could have been done better, but I would also probably say that I would give it a 7.75 out of 10. And then we come to Dave.
this is actually going to be hilarious. I'm just going to say right off the bat, I was calling the movie a solid 8.
Oh, really?
And I'm probably going to have more. I'm probably going to have more complaints than you guys about it.
Well,
but
as
overall,
far as
I enjoyed it.
fun, yeah, I would say it's like an 8.5 if you're rating just fun, but there are a couple things that drag it down for me.
Well, first let's let Dave give his.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the stuff I love. I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker, and Spider-Man. I know a lot of people.
Chimney.
What?
His reaction to the line, "We don't have a chimney."
Yeah.
What?
I really think he does a good job with that. And there's people that hate him. I don't understand how they completely hate him in the role of Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I don't know. Maybe we read 2 different books when I was growing up. I don't know. But I really dig him in the role. I liked him in the first movie. As the character, I mean, even though that movie definitely had its flaws and everything, I didn't think he was one of them. So I really dig that whole part. Emma Stone she's a really great actress, so her in anything is usually very watchable. Loved her as Gwen Stacy in it. I'll get to that. I'll get to the other thing in a minute. That's a huge plus of the movie, actually. It's something that I wanted to bring up. So any scene where they were on the screen was great. I didn't hate all the Electro changes. I thought I would be more annoyed at that. I wasn't. Paul Giamatti, what happened to him? Ugh.
That's a solid point loss on my score right there. That alone is at least a point of the loss.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Whatever. Paul Giamatti, I'm happy he could sell out and get a big blockbuster budget part because they brought him in for shtick and he delivered shtick. So
a little too well.
Yeah, well, Mission. I'm sure that's what they wanted. I'm sure that's what the director told them. To do. So I can't really.
It's just he's so good at everything else, everything that I've ever seen him in. Even stuff where he is doing.
Rhino in this was to be ridiculous.
I mean,
we're not doing a sensitive, in-depth portrayal of the man behind Rhino. They
totally get it.
They want a stereotype.
I totally get it, and I understand, but I don't like it. So I mean, overall, there was just a lot. I thought there was a lot to like about the movie. I thought the special effects were great. I was, pretty okay with the story for the most part. I like this, I liked a lot of the stuff they were doing. Even though, some of it's, kind of annoying, but I know it's the part of the whole retcon, Spider-Man history they're going for, with his parents and everything like that. Didn't hate all that stuff.
So let's talk about that for a minute. I actually think that was probably one of the weakest writing points in the entire movie.
Yeah.
After 2 movies, we finally find out who Peter's parent, what happened to Peter's parents, and Peter discovers it, and it's completely anticlimactic. Not to mention a severe stretch of the disbelief factor in that a buried subway train car still has power, everything's still refrigerated, and no dust for 20 plus years.
Well, it
15
was
years,
under
whatever.
the thing. It closed up and came out of the ground. Were you paying attention? Did you fall asleep at that part of the movie? I mean, it was completely covered.
Where was it getting power from? They shut down the power to the tracks once you segregate off a disused part of the system down there.
Okay, well, if I'm assuming he ran an extension cord when he was building all the trapdoor stuff.
Yeah, exactly. How does
It's the atomic spider pile.
Well, this is you look at Curtis Connors, Kurt Connors, who flees into the subway and sets up shop down there. That was one of my big problems with the first. Wait, was this movie? Man, they're running together. Yeah, it was the first movie.
First movie,
That
yeah.
was one of my big things. Well, where did he find a power outlet in a sewer to run all that equipment? But
extension cord. We covered this already.
okay, but where did Peter's dad get the money or the ability or the know-how or the contractors to go to an abandoned subway station and dig
They already covered that too. They said he was selling secrets.
He wasn't selling secrets, though. That was the whole point.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well.
He's just a genius.
Maybe, hold on a second. Maybe he said he was selling secrets, didn't actually sell the secrets, and just collected their money, and that's why they got all mad and killed him.
Did you miss the part where Oscorp was the one killing him?
I'm pretty sure that.
I think he's trolling us, but I'm not
Ben
sure.
built the whole thing himself.
Did you just say Uncle Ben did?
Uncle Ben did it.
Nice. Aunt May, when she was with Captain Universe powers.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It better happen.
Now, I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in here for a second. We don't know that his parents are actually dead.
Dude.
Well, we know his mom's
All I'm saying. Well, she got shot, and she appeared dead. But
okay,
this is comic books, people.
Comics. I was out of the comics by this time. He's dead in the comics, right?
We don't know. The fate of his parents has never been resolved in the comics. Ever.
Oh, I thought this was using like some kind of retcon.
Well, there's been several. Well, there was a episode or issue -1 that set them up as government agents, and they died in a plane crash. I think it was.
They were
but
SHIELD agents, weren't they?
Well, that's one of. We don't know that none of the stories about them have become canon, if you will. We have no idea what happened to his parents, really.
Okay, so
this is the first time that I know of that any version of Peter Parker's parents have had at least mostly definitive fate.
Well, I guess the real part of the problem for that scene for me was, okay, even if I believe that everything still works and all that stuff, it just so happens to start playing the exact video file that explains everything.
Well, no, actually, wait, I noticed something about that was actually kind of hilarious. Did you notice?
It finished downloading when the power turned on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was old tech. It took that long for the video to download.
No, it's been stored on the satellite. Didn't you get it's been sitting on the satellite waiting to download for 15
right,
minutes.
and we all know how satellite internet works. It's really wonky.
Yeah, not to mention, was it even overhead when he went into the train car?
It's geosync. Geosync.
Geosync, yes.
But
New York City geosyncs to a satellite? I think so. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get into the minutia of that scene and the whole airplane scene of him actually successfully uploading anything from an airplane at that time. I mean,
yeah,
just from a
10
laptop.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, uploading from a laptop.
No, I trust me. I was on those planes, and you couldn't do jack. You could not even make a phone call, and I'm talking about using the phones that were on the plane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a stretch as well. Now let's talk about the action sequence in that plane scene. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, very well
Overall, it
executed.
was
Yeah.
very realistic.
All the action was very well executed.
Well, no, okay. So I'm gonna just start in on the stuff I did not like first, so that I can talk about the stuff I did like.
Yeah,
That
let's do
whole
it.
crane operator scene thing.
That's from 1, dude.
Damn it! I'm doing it again.
You are. It's because you watched 1 for the first time right before you went to 2.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
And first of all, you are not allowed to crap on C. Thomas Howell.
I'm not crapping on C. Thomas Howell.
No, you just were. You said the whole crane operator thing. And that was C. Thomas Howell's time to shine.
He meant the cranes swinging out, that there were just conveniently 20 cranes between where he was and the destination that could swing their booms
Each one was
out
higher
over the
than
street.
the last.
There's a lot of construction in that town, dude.
Yeah, I've been to New York City. There is not that much construction, especially not on a singular street going a 2-mile distance. Thank you very much. But was there any other parts that stuck out that you really did not like?
Yes, that itsy bitsy spider scene, dude.
The itsy bitsy spider scene.
Seriously?
Drawing a blank.
Oh no! You know what? Okay. It took me like over 3/4 of the song to figure out what the hell he was talking about, because for some reason it wasn't very clear the way it was delivered. Now I watched this in IMAX 3D, and if I'm saying that it wasn't clear in a THX surround sound system, I don't know. But yes, I got what you were saying about the itsy bitsy spider as he was bashing him against the electrical generator.
Yeah, whatever the thing. He was playing notes, and he happened to be playing the notes to itsy bitsy spider as he was hitting each of those pylons or whatever the hell they were.
Okay.
There's only been one time that shtick has actually worked, and I think it was the Sega Dreamcast Spider-Man game. It was made by the people that did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Which are now the people that are making Call of Duty forever.
Nice.
Neversoft.
And
It was Neversoft, wasn't it?
Yep.
Was it Neversoft back then? I thought they might have had a different name back then.
Nope, they were Neversoft.
And so Neversoft made a Spider-Man game.
2 of them, actually.
And there was there was 2 of them. And there was a scene where you're chasing after Venom, and Venom is just like heckling you the whole time. And he would just fly out of nowhere singing that song in a really creepy, Venom-y kind of voice. And that's the only time I've ever accepted that shtick. This was far from that.
That was a good use of it. The fact that he kept whistling the Spider-Man song from the '60s was cute, but it was kind of okay.
Actually, I like that part.
Yeah, and I like that too.
And the whole phone ringtone.
The phone ringtone. That's what it was. It was his phone. It wasn't that he whistled it once. Yeah, it was his phone.
Yeah, he whistled it once too.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know why that part I have no problem with whatsoever, but the Itsy Bitsy Spider thing.
I mean, once it would have been fine, but they did it like 4 times. It was like, okay, I get it. All right, it's cute. Haha. Stop.
I was constantly on the fence about the guy playing Harry, his performance.
Oh yeah.
It was erratic. And I think that was the direction that was given to him. But in the end, a lot of people said that they did not like it. I actually thought it worked. I mean, he was kind of off kilter to begin with, and it would make sense why he would be friends with Peter to kind of ground him a little bit.
Yeah.
He was definitely really creepy looking.
Well, if you guys have seen Chronicle, right?
Yeah.
Negative. I own it. I have not seen it yet.
You've not seen it? Oh gosh. Yeah, he did not even get anywhere near the level of creepy that he was in that movie. So
Totally didn't realize that was the same kid.
Yeah, that's the same kid. You didn't recognize him? There's only one guy with that face. I've only seen that face once in my life, and twice. Once in Chronicle and once in Spider-Man.
I haven't seen Chronicle in a while. Oh man, that Akira was definitely a good. I mean, Chronicle was definitely a good movie.
Exactly.
But actually, they did a really good job of that. Like the stuff
they did.
did.
That was a great movie. I loved it.
Yeah, I
he
really
did a great job in there too. But yeah, he plays the creepy kind of off-kilter, cuckoo dude who loses it. Apparently, that's what he does.
The thing I do want to talk about, which a lot of people did not like, I am a mixed bag on Jamie Foxx's performance. I think most of it was out of his hands in terms of how they wrote the character. Max was ridiculous. And what I mean by that is he was a stereotype of a troubled person as opposed to what I would call a real person.
Right.
His build-up was too quick. This whole Spider-Man saved me and now I'm his best friend thing, where he's talking to the wall on his birthday.
Yeah, I took it more as like a caricature of, they just wanted a goofy, ridiculous dude.
Yeah, but see, and that's for me, that's where the movie falls down, is when it goes to that. But then there's some very real moments about that I liked. Like, for example, in Times Square, when the cameras all do start showing Electro,
Right.
he's like, they see me. And that was not a campy, over-the-top performance right there. That was a real, genuine, oh my God, they're actually seeing me for the first time.
Right, and that's what was annoying about it, is because it was so uneven.
Yeah, and I really think that's a fault of the writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping that gets better with time. But I really did like the whole scene with him in Times Square. I didn't like the cliche, the cop takes the shot even though everybody's, not threatening each other kind of thing. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I mean, okay, I guess it got...
They had to figure out a way to move it along, so...
I guess.
Tried and true.
Well, see, to me, I'm not disagreeing. There were parts of the Max performance that were brilliant, and there were parts of it that were just ridiculous. But to me, it was way more palatable than the Giamatti stuff. I mean, yes, they were both caricatures, but there were at least.
Did you off that much?
No, what?
Did the Giamatti stuff really
No, it didn't.
It took me out of the movie. It
took me out of the movie. It was so over the top with the stereotype caricature that, I mean, at least you could find points to ground Max. There were a few key points. His interaction with Gwen, his bumping into Spider-Man. There were points where you could find ground in this character, that he was, at least to some degree, relatable or understandable. What is his name, Alexei or whatever? I mean, that was just ridiculous. I mean, it was so bad, over the top. It didn't make me want to get up and walk out of the movie or anything, but I mean, I would have bought it more at the second time if it hadn't have been so bad the first time.
I guess I just...
And of course, I'm not a fan of his. I don't really follow his work. I couldn't tell you another thing he's been in.
That's sad in and of itself, because he's an amazing actor.
Yeah, that is kind of criminal.
Well,
I mean, I was just in a liquor store over the weekend, and I had to pick up wine for a party. And I turned around and somebody said we need to get some Merlot, and they're like, oh, what kind of Merlot are you looking for? I was like, I don't care, I'm not gonna drink the Merlot. And everybody in the store cracked up laughing, because everybody knows that line from, I guess not in this room.
No, I know it. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I know Matt's not gonna know if he's never seen a movie he was in.
I don't know that it's not a name I recognize, so I don't know what I have or haven't seen him in. So, I mean, I recognize the name, but not enough to be conscious of it.
There was what was that movie he was in that was really weird? John Dies at the End, I think. Wasn't he in that?
Yeah, and
is that the one?
I recommend you look at IMDb, and any list or any movie that's on his list is well worth watching.
I have to be able to spell his name.
It's called Google Autofill.
Look. Well, it's called.
Paul Giamatti IMDb.
It's called IMDb Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then find his name.
That works too. So, I thought exactly what you said, Matt, about how they did manage to do. I'm sitting there watching the Electro fight, and in my head, I was sitting there going, "Man, we have got to be getting close to the end of this, and we still haven't introduced either, Goblin or Rhino at this point." And I'm like, "Holy crap!" And then right on cue, here comes Goblin.
I was actually hoping they were going to cut the Rhino stuff.
No. I figured it was probably at the end or something. Now, it is worth mentioning that we saw, I believe, Vulture's wings.
Mm-hmm.
We saw
Doc Ock's tentacles.
Doc Ock's tentacles. We saw Symbiote, which can be Venom and or Carnage, because those have both been rumored. Surprisingly, I did not see anything about Mysterio. So no fishbowl head for the sequels as of yet. But did I like...
What else, Mr. Fierce?
Yes, so who is Mr. Fierce? I'm glad you ask. Mr. Fierce is one of my very... so, as you may know, I used to own a comic shop, and I'm saying this for the folks that may be watching this down the road. I used to own a comic shop, and one of my big kicks was going back to Silver Age and reading forward for every character. And Spider-Man has this 1960s villain. He's called the Gentleman. And the Gentleman...
Oh, that's what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, he has no superpowers whatsoever, but he did something to basically bring down this guy's crime scheme, and he has decided that he will dedicate his life to teaching Spider-Man about revenge, but he will never do anything until the time is right, and that he will have learned a lesson from it. And so that is the Gentleman, and that is Mr. Fierce.
I would have never put that together.
As well you shouldn't, because it was bothering me, and then I was like, I should know who this is, and sure enough.
I thought they were going to try and say that was Craven or something.
Oh, I thought that was I thought it was their take on the Rose, so I wasn't too far off. It was, mobster gang related, but
other things I really liked. Believe it or not, Electro's theme. It was very prevalent from the Times Square scene forward. It was not dubstep, but it was right on the edge of it. Really heavy EDM kind of influences, and it was very well. I mean, it was very subtle in the movie, but if you listened for it, you heard it, and I thought it sounded very ominous. So it really kind of gave a good feeling for his mental state. I think the only thing that and Matt and I talked about this directly after he got out of the theater, that really again took me out of the Max character, was that he was, although they did foreshadow it with the scene where he what did he do? He broke his boss's neck, I think, while he was standing there being asked to stay and work. His responses after becoming Electro were inconsistent. He was all swagger and all bluster and, I'm going to kill you and all that type of stuff. And someone who'd been trod upon his entire life like that, I don't think that's realistic. Dave, speaking from that perspective, do you agree?
Yeah, it was definitely inconsistent. I mean, I could see somebody like lashing out, and somebody who was like picked on. Like,
are you starting to finally get my slight there?
No, I got you.
Okay, I'm just checking.
No, I had it from the beginning. That's okay. Why I'm disagreeing a little bit. Because if all of a sudden you had the means, like you're probably gonna take advantage of that, and especially the way he is. But like you said, it was inconsistent. Like sometimes it was oh, what's going on? I don't want to. And then sometimes it was, by the end he was just all like, trying to be super badass. And it's like, I don't know.
I thought it was funny that he, obviously being rating it was and not being Watchmen, he had to magically reappear pants, but he did. At the very last minute, black spandex pants would appear in just the right time.
I do have to say I was very, how can I say that? I was very surprised at how much they ripped Watchmen off for his.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually ripped off of the Ultimate version of Electro too. I mean, that's a lot of that, the blue crackling and stuff, the not wearing clothes. That's all the blue Electro from Ultimate Spider-Man too.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ultimates, which opened with Electro.
Well, it's the same.
And that's no. Wasn't it different in there? Because in the beginning of the Ultimates, like the original Ultimates, we're going back some years now. They were hiring him to do a job. And
that's before he went blue, yeah.
Right, it does that one scene. He goes, "I only have one question." They're like, "What?" He goes, "Mask on or off?" And he goes, "We don't care." And he's like, "Mask on," and he's got that ridiculous,
yeah,
bolts coming off his head and everything.
Later, he turns blue.
Yeah.
So my only thought was, and I'm not sure that they would have done this, especially since they're trying to go for the whole Sinister Six thing, but it was almost more Living Laser than it was Electro.
I would agree with that to a point. I mean, I think when he reforms, not amends his ways, but physically reforms,
right,
from having been blown to smithereens, I think we're going to get a much more reasonably powered Electro that can no longer amp up to that level, because that's the only thing that makes sense,
Right.
The real question is, will he even be in the Sinister Six? Because I surprisingly do not see Jamie Foxx playing well with others in terms of a sharing the spotlight kind of thing.
But they could always get a different actor. I mean, the fact that he can be blown up and reassemble himself lends itself to them being able to replace it with a different actor if they want to.
Yeah, and I think if we've learned anything from, the Iron Man series, they have no problem replacing people with a much better actor.
Oh, come on, he wasn't that bad.
No, and it's a shame because I do actually.
I liked. Oh man, I liked.
I did too.
Guy.
I liked. Shoot.
Yeah, no one can ever remember his name ever.
Yeah, and something, he like lives right around the corner from me too.
You better be nice to him.
Yeah, he's a local dude.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually not too far from here. He makes his home, I think, in like Plymouth Meeting or something like that. And he's been great in other movies and everything. But if I had the choice between him and Don Cheadle for a role, God, I love Don Cheadle. Sorry.
No, to me, okay. So let me. No, we can't address that here. I disagree wholeheartedly for the same reasons we were talking about. Don Cheadle is too over the top for me, and the other guy was actually a heartfelt performance. So there's that. But let's continue talking about Amazing Spider-Man.
Sure.
So
can I tell you about the thing that I love the most about the movie?
Yes, please.
Like the thing that I absolutely loved the most.
They killed Gwen Stacy.
No, oh my God, no. That was horrible. That was the one thing I was hoping they were going to change. The best thing about the movie, they cut every scene with that horrible actress they hired for MJ.
The one that's doing the Divergent series.
Yeah. She was gone from the
They
movie.
did that.
Yeah. She was supposed to be MJ in the movie, and I hate her ever since that stupid show that my ex used to watch, that Secret Life of a Teenager thing, where she just played this horrible human being, and they said she was going to be MJ, and I'm like, no.
Well,
is there a reason they can't cast MJ right in this universe?
I was actually surprised the chemistry between the actress that played Gwen and Andrew Garfield was really well done. Well, that's probably because they're
Well,
dating
because
in
they're
real life.
actually dating in real life.
But it really that doesn't bode well for her when they do bring in MJ. But whatever. So I thought that the chemistry was really well done. I thought actually she was probably as much the star of the movie as Peter was.
Oh, easily.
Oh yeah.
Simply because, she showed that she was strong, she was on par intellectually with Peter, and I thought they did a good job of establishing that in the first movie, but this one really put it over the top.
And now the thing that I this movie gets points out the butt for actually having the balls to kill Emma Stone. I mean
yeah, that's right. They sacrificed Emma Stone.
Yes, they did.
She will never be in another movie because
never, ever again. She's dead. But literally, that I don't mean kill Gwen Stacy. I mean kill Emma Stone. I mean to remove the possibility of her from future franchise films, unless they go the whole clone route, which we could talk about for hours.
I'm not going to say clone route, but she is a natural redhead, right? So they could conceivably just get her to play MJ.
Turn around and her be. Oh, God. You are a sick man.
As hell.
It was a
sick man.
I know. No, it was.
I approve of this methodology.
But the thing is, this actually stems to a very real thing I did like an idiot. When my nieces and nephews were talking about when they said that they were finding out news about the new Spider-Man movie, and this was a while ago. And they said that they have MJ's supposed to be in the movie, and I'm like, oh, who are they? And he goes, they announced who's playing MJ. I'm like, who is it? And they said who it was, and I was like, oh my God! I was like, can't they just get a real actress who's actually a redhead? Isn't Emma Stone free? And my niece just looked at me, and she's like, did you really just say that? And I'm like, whoa, what's wrong with Emma Stone? And he goes, she's already in the movie as Gwen Stacy. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I want her to play both characters because she's strong enough to do that. And yeah, I'll stand by that. I seriously meant that. But
I thought she was great. Yes, I agree. Points for killing her. Minus points for not doing it the same way that it happened to the comic books.
It was pretty damn close.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yes, she falls, he webs her, she breaks her neck, dead.
Yeah, but the difference was how it happened. Here, he shot her torso, and it was going to be okay, whereas in the comic book, he whipped her head.
No, leg. Let's get it straight. If you're going to bitch about it, let's get it right.
Ooh.
Really? Because I remember the head snap.
Leg. The whole thing about her hitting her leg was that when she swung back, the whiplash smacked her neck or snapped her neck. Yeah, that was the whole thing about how we webbed her wrong.
Snapped her neck and then showed her drooling, and that would have been a good way to end it. But
well, see, now the only thing I couldn't tell, and I've only seen the movie once. The only thing I couldn't tell is if they intended that her neck snaps from swinging back so hard, or if she actually hit it on the ground.
No, she hit. She hit the ground.
Okay, I couldn't tell from the one time watching it which was the thing that they were implying killed her. If it was her hitting the back of her head.
The sounds were crack and squish.
Okay, so both. So she broke her neck and squished her brains in. So, and obviously, there wasn't blood all over the place, so you couldn't tell. But his reaction, that was a great scene.
I think the whole scene following it.
Yeah.
Where a year passes. I think it's, again, cliche writing style to say that a year passes and it's, been a whole year before they unleash Rhino on the public, because that's odd, but okay, whatever. They need some way to make him have a big splashy entrance back. Okay, whatever, I get it.
But what did you think of the fact that the Goblin and the Spider both have the same power source?
So it's obvious that Harry suspects that Peter is Spider-Man almost as soon as he returns to Harry's life. What bothers me.
What?
Yeah.
Where do you get that from? Are you
The way-
projecting again?
No.
Just because you knew?
The whole.
Just because you figured out Peter Parker was Spider-Man at that point in the movie, you think that Harry did?
Say again.
I don't. Sorry. I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure if I get that Harry thought that at all.
No, that's why he was feeling out Gwen in the elevator, so to speak. He was testing Gwen's, will she keep his secret, etc., etc. I think he suspected. And what bothered me was when Spider-Man came to Harry and said, I can't give you my blood. I thought it was very poorly written on both sides of that conversation. If he had suspected that, then he should have said, I know it's you, Peter. Why won't you do this for me? And when he had the bad reaction, he should have said, look, I'm going to help you, or I want to help you, but we need to do some testing first to make sure that you're not going to die from this. But that's not how he left it. He let him portray it as a selfish choice, let Harry portray it as Spider-Man / Peter's selfish choice, and then he did nothing to combat it. And if he was truly Harry's friend, I just feel that he would have communicated that more. That's why he wasn't giving him the blood, was because he was afraid it would kill him, and articulate that, not just leave like a whipped puppy.
I think that was just their way of trying to, move the story along without. I mean, let's face it, that was a plot hole. They weren't really trying too hard in that scene.
And
I'm not sure I buy that Harry knew. I think Harry knew there was a connection, and he wanted to use that connection, just like he and his father have used their connections all of their life to get something, and the effects of the disease, whatever it was, were wearing on him.
I don't know. If you go back and you watch that elevator scene with Gwen and Harry,
I just figured he was lusting after her, and that was what that was all
I
about.
don't think so. I think he was trying to find a chink in the armor.
It's possible. I could
Yeah, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Once I have the disc, I will reanalyze that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
But yeah, the Peter Spider-Man departing that conversation scene, that was weak. That was definitely weak.
But I mean, overall, I love the action sequences. I love the fight scenes. I thought it was well paced, even if some of the writing let it down in spots.
It didn't feel as long as it was. I was surprised what time
yeah.
it was when I got out of the theater. I was like, wow, that was that long? Really?
Very, very pleased with it.
Something we haven't talked or hit on very much is the visual aspect. I think we all mentioned it quickly in our synopsis, but I had a very hard time. There were a few improbable physics moments, but it's Spider-Man. It just kind of lends itself to improbable physics moments. But visually, I was really, really looking hard for something visually bad. I don't know why, I just was. I really couldn't find. I mean, little touches like the ripples in the back of his uniform when he's doing that initial skydive, off of wherever, we have no idea. Did he jump out of an airplane? What did he do? I have no idea. But I mean, the uniform is actually rippling in the back. The way the costume, that was a Spider-Man costume. I mean, there were things about the first one that I didn't like. The gold eyes, some of the stylizing on it I didn't care for. This was a Spider-Man costume. I mean, that is probably the best Spider-Man costume that's been on film thus far. The Rhino didn't really look like the Rhino, but still, it looked pretty dang impressive for what it was. The Goblin effects were good. The Electro effects were great. I couldn't find a visual flaw in the movie.
I didn't see any issues with it. And now I will say that I usually have to watch a movie twice because once I'm watching for the story and the things,
Yeah.
and then usually the second time I'll watch it for effects. But I do notice, especially since I went to school for special effects on film, I do notice when there are bad effects, and I did not notice any glaring bad effects throughout the movie. I thought the details were very nice, for sure.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. I didn't see any issues, with stuff. And the action sequences were great, and they weren't like they did a very good job of capturing like the classic Spider-Man poses.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a lot of like things you've seen on the pages that they had him doing, and I got a big kick out of that because I mean that's a subtle thing to throw into movies and everything the way they do it. I mean it might not be as striking like in motion because like you're capturing like one image on the comic pages, and this is like in full motion of it, but like it's in there and it's just kind of a nice touch, I thought.
Subtle, reminding me of. Oh, sorry, but one thing.
Mhm.
I think there's probably a lot of people, if you don't know Spider-Man or you aren't familiar with it completely, I think the inclusion of the spider sense probably passed most people, or a lot of people, completely by. I thought it was so subtly and nicely included. It wasn't, like glaring, flashing yellow lights and red lines coming out of his head or anything. It was just a very minor sound effect they would use whenever it was going off during a non-combat sequence. And then basically just showing his ability to dodge things. To me, that was another reference to the spider sense, because the only way he could dodge all that stuff is because he knows a split second before it gets there.
Right.
I thought if you would have told me, and this is another strong point of the movie for me, if you would have told me 7 years ago that Sally Fields would be Aunt May,
And
I
be
would
one
have
of my
told you
favorite
you were
versions of
insane.
Aunt May.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, I believed in it at the end of the first movie, even more so by the end of the second movie. She brings a level of groundedness to Peter, and man, did they tease the hell out of her knowing that he was Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, my gosh! You're half the way through that movie. I'm like, does she know?
That's why I can't believe you didn't pick up on the Harry thing, because his was just as prominent as hers, and they really, really seemed to make it like she knew. Oh,
And by the end of the movie, why was she hugging you? Why? Well, not the end, but that one scene toward the end where, it just seems like very obvious he comes home from this huge battle and she's just there waiting for him and says something like, I know, or something, and gives him a hug. And it wasn't I know or it's okay or something like that, and gives him this big hug. You're like, what does she know? Sorry.
No,
well,
that's
it's pretty easy to see when you've got Gwen on the front of you.
Yeah. Damn.
music.
Squish.
Their song choice in the movie. There's one I thought probably the most brilliant, subtle scenes in a movie was when they kind of got back together for a little bit, like after a while,
Mhm.
and they had Gwen and Peter like meeting again for like the first time in a while, and like talking. They used a song in the background. What was it? It's called a Song for Zula, I think. Yeah, Song for Zula by this band Phosphorescent.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure, like, I actually knew the song before that. Brilliant song to use for that. Just like the way it sounded, the way it went with that scene. I'm guessing nobody even noticed or cared.
You did.
I noticed it at the time, but I do not remember it at all now, because I do remember that scene, and I remember thinking this is a really well framed scene, but I don't remember what was playing.
It was
Yeah,
a very well put together scene, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember everything working so well with that. Their chemistry in that scene, the writing in that scene was great. And it was just, I think that's what really solidified like their like kind of relationship in that movie. More than anything else, I think was like that sequence right there, which I just thought was awesome. And they just totally hit it out of the park with adding that song in the background for it. And it wasn't like overpowering either. It was very subtle with it, so it was really cool. I like that.
So what what did you guys think of the effect when Elektra was on the screen and he was like, you were hearing his thoughts or something, but it wasn't necessarily quite clear enough to figure out what he was saying or thinking, but there was, I don't know, kind of this schizophrenic sound to it with these voices going on in the background while the scene was going on. Or was that a song and I just thought it was his voices in his head talking to us?
I have no idea what you're talking about, actually.
Really?
I know what he's talking about, and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it just kind of added a level of insanity, and I
kind of thought it was part of the music in the background.
Okay, I thought it was like we were hearing his thoughts for some reason, like as he was going more and more nuts.
I don't know. That's the thing. I like your theory better than what mine was. I just thought it was like a terrible part of the song.
Okay, so that's another DVD moment.
Yeah.
Ray moment.
So we're definitely going to follow up on that one because it sounded like there was just a cacophony of stuff going on and
A what?
He mispronounced cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that other word. That word that he was trying to say. Cacophony.
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 Gotta go further east to talk like that. Back cat.
That's
Get
good
some
stuff,
pizza.
right
Cacophony.
there. So I'm questioning the science behind.
Can we just stop right there?
Yeah.
Can I just stop you
How
right
is
there?
he going to get more webbing? They killed all the spiders. Sorry, that's been bothering me.
Well, yeah, there is that. Well, because he'll just order more from Amazon because apparently anyone can do it.
But it's going to run out because they killed all the spiders.
No, he had like a whole box of that stuff from Oscorp
Right.
from the first
'Cause,
movie.
you know,
That's going to support a lifetime
not
of
like he
webbing.
uses it every day on patrol.
This stuff lasts a long time.
Except in rain, which they haven't, because I think that was the way to make it disappear that I somehow remember seeing from the first movie. So yeah, there is that. So what does that mean? Can he not swing when it's raining?
I don't recall that from the first one, but
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Well, because then my question was, is the city just going to be covered in webbing forever?
basically.
No, it eventually goes away.
But
Apparently he worked in the dissolving
it's
thing to
tensile
it somehow.
like steel strength or better.
Well, but notice this webbing was not as strong as the comic webbing.
Right, and it's also bio-friendly.
It's spider poop.
It gets absorbed back into the earth
It's
naturally.
green. Yes.
It's very
Spider-
green.
It's
Oscorp is very green.
super green. Have we beat this horse to death? Is there more to say, or?
Well, you didn't answer my question, which I thought was interesting. But
Which I thought was hilarious, actually. He just
question?
totally ignored that.
He just totally went out with something else.
He was just like, nope.
The fact that the Green Goblin and Spider-Man have the same power source, like literally the same power source. The only reason it had a different effect on Peter is because his dad used his DNA as the basis for the spider, so it was compatible with Peter better than it was with Harry.
And I love how genetically rewriting your DNA comes and goes.
Yeah, that part I didn't figure. Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to play off of like the Ultimate Green Goblin who can transform, kind of Hulk-esque.
Yeah, and
But
I
that's
think
literally
that they
more
were
of a
trying to say that the suit, because the suit rewrote his DNA again after he did the injection.
No, it was repairing him,
It
but he
was
said it
repairing
comes
him.
and goes. So,
Right.
it's like,
So yeah.
yeah, that was kind of weak writing there. That was kind of okay. We don't want to explain this anymore. Just go with this.
And I'm gonna sidetrack to the comic books for just a second. Isn't it amazing that now they've separated the Goblin from Harry? He looks like Abraham from The Walking Dead with his new face. But I digress. Maybe you haven't read that one yet.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Abraham. I obviously haven't gotten that far.
Well, you watched the TV show though, right?
But not this series, not this season.
Oh well, never mind then. I said nothing. Nothing.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. You said comics, so I was thinking comics.
So no,
I overall I thought it did a decent job of staying in line thematically with the comics.
I don't like it. Actually, to answer your question.
You don't like them having the same power source?
I don't like them having the same power source.
Well, see, and again, that kind of goes back to the Ultimate Universe again too, because the OZ that was made by Oscorp was what was injected into the spider that bit Peter, and then both Norman and Harry both injected the OZ chemical directly, which is what caused them to go goblin. So it's not completely unfounded, but yeah, it was kind of hokey. It's like, yeah, why would it work? Why did it do what it did to Peter? And oh, there was one other point. I know we've almost beat this horse to death, but we watched one of the trailers that did not include any of the scenes that were cut from the movie. But some of the later trailers had significant points that were re-edited when the final cut of the movie. The line of Harry saying,
Yes.
Oscorp's been watching you.
Yeah, watching you.
And
That's never
May's
in the movie.
line about the truth has a cost, which ties to the secrets have a cost line. But there were entire sub-arcs that were completely cut out of the final cut of this movie, which is normal, right? But this one seemed to have a preponderance of them that were in one of the trailers that didn't make it into the final cut of the movie. And do you think did that bother you? Were you waiting for those scenes during the movie? Did it affect you? There's an entire movement out there, well, that's pissed off about everything, but is all up in arms about how this movie was re-edited because they wanted to change the focus on this and that and blah 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 blah. Obviously, people follow this a hell of a lot more closely than I do, but I thought that was interesting because lots of times you'll see a scene in a trailer and then you'll get to the final cut of the movie and you're like, where to go?
And this is actually one of the reasons I don't like watching trailers in advance for just about anything. But no, I actually was sitting there the whole movie waiting for that Harry scene, and when things escalated, I realized that we were never going to get it. What about you? What about you, Dave?
I actually didn't really pay attention to the trailers close enough to notice stuff like that happening. I mean, it's not like, we saw like any of the trailers, like all of a sudden there was like a bunch of Exuvia, like, just hanging out. And then, like, that wasn't in the movie or anything like that.
The only thing it did for me, I guess, really was, or didn't do, or whatever, did to me, I wondered if they didn't just cut the rhino out. We were getting to the end of the movie, and I seriously thought they just cut the rhino out. They just cut the whole thing.
No, those were in the TV spots, so you knew he had to be in there. So since they seem to be skewing so far Ultimates, do we think they're going to introduce Ultimax or Alchemax or whatever the name of the 2099?
They could. I mean, we haven't seen Liz Allen yet, so that could be a female character for 3. We've got some. I mean, they don't even have to go MJ for the next movie. You've got Betty Brant we haven't done yet. We've got Liz Allen we haven't done yet. We've got, Gene. Well, you wouldn't go Gene DeWolf probably, but there's lots of other characters they could go with.
Madam Web.
There you go. Julia Carpenter or Cassandra Webb.
Ooh.
They could go with a Spider Girl. They could go with a Spider Woman character.
Yeah. You probably wouldn't have Madam Web because she's just a big dried up Exuvia anyway.
Well, until Julia took over.
I hope, honestly, I hope they don't do MJ in the next movie, or if they do it, she's a cameo and we don't see her for 2 to 3 movies beyond this. Well,
now that's a good question. Now, I don't know what the order is. Are we getting 3 before Sinister 6, or are we getting Sinister 6 before 3?
The way they made it sound, I thought it was Sinister 6 before 3.
That's kind of what I was thinking, and then Venom is after that.
But the interesting thing is that the Sinister 6 movie has been said by the director to be a story about redemption. So what does that mean? I don't know.
That sounds stupid. Wait a minute. They're doing a Sinister Six movie?
Are you kidding me?
How did I miss this?
You're trolling us, right?
I'm really not actually on this one.
Yeah, this
You
this
missed
came
the
out
announcement of the
before
Venom and
Spider-Man 2. This
Wait,
came
wait,
out.
wait. No, seriously, one at a time. What's going on here?
Go ahead, Matt.
okay. Sorry. So before Spider-Man 3 came out, this might have even been before the big trailer came out. The full trailer came out. They announced that they were spinning off into two related movies along with a Spider-Man 3, and the other two movies were the Sinister Six and Venom. And so we know, again, I'm not 100% sure of it, but the impression that I've got is the next movie is actually going to be the Sinister Six, and then we'll have Spider-Man 3, and then we'll have a Venom movie.
Yep.
I had no idea about any of that.
And where did you see the symbiote? You mentioned that, and I was going to question you on that earlier.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
I believe it was in the chamber with the rest of the stuff.
Really? Wow, I must have missed it.
I missed that, and I was actually looking there.
That was a really quick glimpse that they gave us of the other stuff, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it again, but I'm pretty sure that it was shown in there. By the way, I had somebody tell me through the website that apparently Adam Warlock's Cocoon is somewhere in the end credits for Thor: The Dark World. So now I'm going to have to go
watch that again a few times.
Again, over and over again. So thanks for that. Appreciate it, Gaz.
I'm surprised you went for a word like cocoon. That just seems so plain.
Well, that's what it was. Sterling called things what they were, cocoons.
Usually use more fancy stuff like exuvia.
Okay.
Wow. All right then. On that note,
I don't even think he remembers.
I don't think so either.
On that note, let's put this puppy to bed. Final thoughts on the movie, Matt.
It was fun. It was enjoyable. I like the lore. I appreciate the fact that they, unlike the original Spider-Man trilogy where they did Mary Jane with the Gwen scene and then didn't kill her, they did have the fortitude to actually kill the character, even though they have this incredibly popular actress playing it. I'm interested to see where they go. Sinister Six can't hold up if it's going to have the level of villain writing that was in this movie. So I'm hoping they're going to do something a little different. I still don't even know if it's going to focus on the Sinister Six or if it's literally going to be a Spider-Man movie versus the Sinister Six. I don't even know which way the stories go. I don't know anything at that point.
Apparently there's not Spider-Man in the Sinister Six movie.
That does not
doesn't
make
even
sense.
make sense.
At least that's been the initial reports that I've seen.
Huh.
This sounds awful. That's why I thought this was a joke.
No.
That's why I said, Jamie Foxx sharing the spotlight with 5 other people, I'm not really sure that that's going to happen.
Possible, yeah. I don't know. But obviously we'll be getting more details on that not too terribly distant future. So I've enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. It was a good, fun family action movie. Yeah, there were some writing issues. There were some editorial choices that are probably questionable. But I think your analysis that it's the first non-Marvel Studios Marvel character film to really hit most of the right notes. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and thought it was definitely worth going to see on the big screen. But I'm pretty sure I'll be buying it on disc when it comes out, so I can view it again.
And my final thoughts are, I did watch it in IMAX 3D, mainly on Matt's recommendation that it was supposed to be a 3D tour de force. Not so much. I mean, I wouldn't say that it was like there was anything that blew me out of the water. So far to date, the best use of 3D I've seen was on what was
Jackass
the
3D, I agree.
Huh?
I said Jackass 3D, I agree.
No, what was the
Dread.
Wizard of Oz remake?
Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oz the Great and Powerful. That's probably been the best use of 3D that I've seen so far, especially in the opening credits. But anyways, I digress. The best, it's overall a really solid movie. If you like Spider-Man, you're gonna like this. I really like the fact that they stayed true to the kind of 60s version of Spider-Man, being a young kid. He's not caring that much about the world, etc. I thought it was really well done. So kudos to them. Dave, final thoughts?
I liked it. Apparently more than you guys, which I know you're shocked at.
Now,
But-
you initially thought you weren't going to like it. What did you think you weren't going to like?
I really
talk me
thought-
over, but-
Everything.
No, not everything. From some of the things I heard, that it was like everything involving like Spider-Man and Gwen was great, and then like anything that didn't involve them was awful. So I kind of expected. I went in expecting to hate the whole like.
I believe Marvel has censored him from saying anything further.
I think so.
He's fallen off the internet. They have cut his connection. Paul Giamatti has come to
Cut the hard line.
cut the hard line.
Terrence Powell has come over to his house to beat him up for not remembering his name. Is that his name?
Stevie Richards is joining
Close.
in just because.
It's Terrence Howard.
Howard. That was close.
Yeah, yeah.
Powell, Howard. They sound really similar.
We were
But the,
explaining to the viewers why you stopped moving and speaking. So please continue.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it was. I thought it was decent. I would love to see these back under Marvel Studios.
Well, that's never going to happen. As long as they put out anything, they continue to retain the rights.
And it's the second highest grosser behind Cap.
So that's actually, before we leave, that is one thing that we need to talk about. It was actually knocked, so it's been out for 3 weeks now.
This was its fourth week.
This was its fourth week.
No, it can't be, because I only waited one week to see it.
Yeah, it came
I
out
saw
the
it
second.
Friday.
It came out May 2nd. So this would be
This will be the third week now.
So this was the second weekend that it's been out. It was not the #1 movie this week. Neighbors was. So Neighbors actually dethroned it in week 2, which is not a good sign. Thoughts?
No, you're getting in the summer movies, so Neighbors is a pretty,
Which
That
I actually
was-
want to see.
yeah, and that was getting a lot of buzz too. So I mean, and it's got Seth Rogen in it. It's a comedy. I mean, they tend to do well. So I don't think anybody's really complained about that. It's made money.
Okay. So, last housekeeping items. Look for our next Spoilercast. Probably going to be on Godzilla. So we will do that as soon as everyone's seen it. Hopefully next week, since it comes out this week.
I'm probably going to have to sit that one out.
What? You're the most excited about it.
I am, but dude, you going to pay for my ticket?
Sure, why not? And then of course, what's the week after that? There's one that comes out the week. X-Men: Days of Future Past, the week after that. So, yeah, look for a couple more spoiler casts coming your way. If you do like the show, do subscribe to us on YouTube. Like our videos. Check us out on twitch.tv, and of course visit gamersledge.com, where we have all of our news and reviews and breaking information. Check out our new Child of Light video review on a console near you. Other than that, until next time, game on.
Game on.
Game on.
Or movie on.
Movie on.
Movie on.